Spirit of the law, Ben Ish Chai on Purim. Page Kuf Yud. Page Kuf Yud Zayin in this printing of Ben Ish Chai, the regular, I guess you call it Ben Ish Chai. Halachos Elu. Shacham Purim. Ben Ish Chai usually gives a little introduction. So these halachos are relevant to Purim. Darki, the Darshan, Ves Hashem Yisbarach, Shabbos Zohar. It's my way to give an open drasha on Shabbos Zohar. Now the Ben Ish Chai, he used to give about a 4-hour weekly drasha on Shabbos, including also halachos, also God, also a lot of beautiful things. He wrote several books on them. One of them is the regular Ben Ish Chai, a lot of the most essential halachos that he went over basically all over Chaim and the most important parts of Yeridea, some also for Shemishpot, in 2 years, a 2-year cycle. It's very interesting. It's a little bit of it's a good compliment to very compliment to the Kitzur also, because the Kitzur works through certain details and he works through other details, maybe a little more thoroughly. It's very interesting. It's a very different style. The reason why we chose to do the Ben Ish Chai here is because there's only 22 pretty short, mostly, paragraphs. Yeah, by Parsha he gave over. So there's 22 paragraphs, and those 22 paragraphs, so we might have a chance, hopefully, of finishing before Purim, but if we try for the Kitzur, I think we've got a lot longer, so it's much harder. So here we try to do what we can and try to be able to finish off. See how the Shemai. Asharon is down the Pasha Tzava. Generally speaking, Pasha Zohar is Pasha Tzava. He said, connecting this to the parsha, it depends every year according to how things work out. Every year, how things work out in the drasha. So just very simple. Here we are. We're in Pasha Truma, right? We're in Pasha Truma, of course. Truma is Torah Bem. And the Purim is when we receive the Torah, so we're trying our best to try to get a hold of the Torah, get the Torah. That's what we're trying to do. That's what Truma is about. It's also this is every person who gives Truma from his heart. It says from the double, he tries to give Truma and tries to connect to Hashem. That's the idea also of Harim means to uplift. Torah is uplifts a person, and the main way the Torah helps a person is when he feels uplifted by it. That's the main way a person he gets this place to connect to where he has a fixed to Hashem through the Torah. That's what he's trying to get to. That's what we're trying to get to. No, Torah Mem is Truma. Truma, Taf Reish Vav Mem Hey, is Torah and Mem. Torah, given it 40 days. As about Torah and others explain. It's Hebrew, Frank also explains. It's the idea that Torah is given in 40 days, because we have to, as a person we're born, we went through a 40-day gestation to connect to Torah. And when according to we're told, we'll reveal a different letter. The Torah is our source. Hakol, Chayavu, Mikra, Megillah, Anashim, and Nashim. Everyone is obligated to read Megillah, both men and women. It's better for women to hear from men than to read from themselves. That's our custom also, and that's the custom also. Ira Kodesh, I guess he means Yerushalayim. I'm not sure what he means by Ira Kodesh here. I'm sorry, this acronym is Tivna B'Siskani B'Meir B'Yameinu, which should be built and established quickly and speedily in our days. It might well mean Yerushalayim, I don't know, I guess so. Shema'on the Nishma Shisha Kara Megillah. No one ever heard that the woman actually read a Megillah. It's better for her to be also with a man. Therefore, every person, even though he read a Megillah in Shul, he should also read it in his house for his wife. If assuming that she didn't hear it in Shul. And for all the daughters and the different people in the household, if he has, they used to have people used to work in cleaning or in taking care of the house, or if it was Mishrasim, whatever it is, so they also need to hear, so they would hear from him, the Valabais. If you read it in the house, and he heard it in Shul, and they didn't hear it in Shul, the Ben Ish Chai is passing that they should not make a bracha, that it shouldn't be any bracha. That's what he seems to be saying, but that's not the way the Mishnah Berurah comes out. The Mishnah Berurah comes out that they do make a bracha. The Mishnah Berurah brings a chayadam that a woman should say Yishmaya Mikra Megillah instead of
a woman.
Yeah, a woman should say.
What? And they parted all the other women there. And she sits for all the other women.
Yeah, if she's doing it, it's better. But still, he comes out. Mishnah comes out. It's better for a man to read for her. There's a little bit of a question. So others maybe say not so clear. Why? What's the exact svara? Why should it be so? It certainly was always the custom that a man read for women. That's for sure.
Why isn't it like Kiddush? Because
what do you mean?
Kiddush, if you make Kiddush already.
It's very, very different. There's no bracha. It's something completely different. Completely different.
He
has this thing. Mishnah Berurah says she can read for herself. But shouldn't be motzi anybody else. If she already read. She shouldn't be motzi. That's what Mishnah Berurah seems to say.
Let me pause 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we again? Fine, so as we said, and that's for sure the meaning. Fine. Right, so you should say for her, fine. So not like the Medrash Mishnah says, is what we're trying to say here. Because himself, we're going to explain any places where the Mishnah are used on the Medrash. So in terms of a little bit of the law, the Megillah means it's a gilui. Megillah is lashon. I think the Reese says that Megillah is lashon of being megale. Is in the Revelation. It's a very powerful revelation. When Megillah is being read, it's an incredibly powerful revelation for all of us, for every person. There's something coming. There's big iris that are revealed. There's a tremendous illumination coming down. I want you to try to connect to this illumination. I always say from Rosh Hashanah, he said, the person has understanding, the person who knows a little something. He said, if he's trying, and he's driving on Purim, he can make it to a much higher place than he made it on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, you can go very high, but Purim, it's high. That's why Yom Kippur, Purim, you can go unbelievable heights, gain unbelievable heights. Base, Imhaya, Akoyre Cheresh Shoshoto Kotum. Hanishim Mena Yol Yotzi Dechev also. The person reading is a deaf mute, or a person who is halachically imbecile. Yeah, it's not. No, it's more than that. Actually, they asked Yashua about somebody. They said, "Can you?" This person never Manuel, whatever. He had a very, very hard time. Is he allowed to have a liyah? Is he allowed to be paramedian? So the answer is, listen, Shaita is pretty serious. You know, the person thinks Shaita, you guys are a little bit foolish. No, that's not what Shaita is. Shaita, there are particular definitions of what a Shaita is. He said the guy can learn a little Gemara according to his level, drop, or something understanding. If he doesn't lose his stuff, he has like different, he goes to the store, he buys things, gives you change. He said, that's not a Shaita. He's just slow, but he's not a Shaita. Shaita is someone who really, doesn't have it together. Like totally different, it's totally different. There's a Maisa with the Tzemach Tzedek. Someone went to, we're on the topic already. Someone once went to I think it's Tzemach Tzedek. Someone went to Tzemach Tzedek, this poor woman is Naguna, and not Naguna. Her husband's brother was a little bit, not really, we say that he didn't have all his marbles together. He wasn't so well. He didn't know what to do. He can't do chalitza, you can't do anything. Even can't do even with someone like that. You can't divorce. You have problems. You have not all there. But then again, she wanted to get married. Fine, her husband never passed away. She wanted to get married. She wanted kids. It's a story. She lived at Tzemach Tzedek. He asked him for help. So he called the young man over. He was really not all there. Just in the town. He was not really. Called him in. He came in. He said, "Here, I'm giving you this amount of money. You buy me this and that, a pen. And ink, parchment, this and this, and give the change, give the money." So he said, "Yes, sir." Slowly jumped out the window to bring the things. He's like a little bit crazy, the guy. He was nuts. He went into the store, he closed back in, said, "Oh, I bought this month, this is it, this is change. Okay, right now, right again, fast. Right now, do chalitza, whatever I think it's chalitza they were talking about then. Do chalitza, right away. They didn't say, so what, how you matter? This guy's really. He said, Yerushalmi said, the person, if you can go to the store, he's still not a shaytik, go to the store and carry change when I checked him. Right then he did it, so he did it, no problem. It's good, it's good. He did it very quick, oh, fine. He said, okay, he was pretty memorable, why not? Fine, we'll do it, no problem. Did it, and that was it, Yeah, but who's a shaytik is a good question. Not so simple to decide who's a shaytik. Can't tell who people are. Fine.
Nowadays they say everybody's a shorter.
Yeah, I don't know. These things I don't know. It says the Pilgrim hears from these people, he doesn't discharge obligation. So is to go back and read the bracha. Person heard it from a deaf mute. He's talking about someone who's only deaf. So some say the person hears from someone who is deaf. He is Yotzei. That's first of all. Fine. So the Mishnah Berurah says, right, obviously we're talking about, in this particular place, not a deaf mute, the only possible chance of being Yotzei is somebody who can't hear, but can speak. Obviously, you can't, how can you read the Megillah? Obviously, that's clear that we're speaking about that. I wasn't explaining it clear. I wasn't focused on. Usually, generally speaking, we talk about someone, halachically, a cherish is a deaf mute. This particular place is something else.
How do you say a deaf? Only deaf? There's no word for only deaf? Because in those days, they couldn't learn how to, if you were deaf, that means you couldn't speak, because they didn't have sign languages or
but he can't read the Megillah, so Megillah. But he can't read the Megillah, so Megillah either.
If you're deaf, doesn't mean you can't speak.
In those days, yeah, they didn't have ways of teaching people that couldn't hear how to speak.
Some say that he's Yotzei. It's not so simple. Not so simple. That's easy to say.
You don't hear anything. You have to learn special method of learning.
It's certainly better not to put him up with Chachila, that's what he says. No, not so simple. Anyway, actually, yeah, that's about in terms of a cherish. Shota also is not so simple. Who this Shota is?
You want to pause it because it's getting slow.
Maybe. Can you stop for a second? What is this? This is 1 and 2. Except for the Maisa, that means. Yeah, that's Mishnah Berurah. The Chayra would come out the same way, maybe. The Chayra. He doesn't seem to say clearly what the story is. You have a problem? Yes, you have a problem. It's not clear whether you go. So we should be conspiracy. Some people say it works. If you heard it from someone who is deaf, but he can't speak. Right? Rishon Zalman mother was very, very, she couldn't hear. So he had his son read for her. I guess he didn't make a bracha with all the people there. I don't know exactly what happened. She said, to later he went to his father. He said, I don't know if Bubby hears. I'm not sure she hears it. He said, no, I know for sure of course she's here. I just want her to feel good that she's hearing the Megillah. Of course she's hearing. I know she's here. Like he totally, because he held up her hearing aid and passes that way. Hearing aid doesn't help. Says we're hearing Megillah according to Rosh Zalman. Others maybe no she would argue, I don't know. But Pashtas of Rosh Zalman. Rosh Zalman for sure goes, that's how he goes. If somebody comes to Shigel Chayim, he asks him to bracha. Okay, hearing aid, the question is like this, how do you relate to a hearing aid? What is a hearing aid? It's only electronic impulses. It's not sound. That's translated into you think you're hearing. What are you hearing? You're not hearing what you can't hear. The person can hear. Huh? Amplifier might be different, might also not be. Might also be.
But that's not what the hearing aid does.
No, it's apparently I don't know. As far as I understood it, it's changing around what you hear into something like electrically translating it, and then putting it in a way that you will hear it. But you're not hearing the same voice. That's what happens apparently.
It translates.
I think so. If that's the case, then you have problems. Because then that's quite. Moshe, there's a Moshe. Moshe says, "What are you supposed to do with a poor woman? No one's with her. She's Shabbos, and she can't make Abdullah for herself. She's very frail. So that's the kind of call her on the phone and make Abdullah, and she'll hear Abdullah and say Amen." She said, "Well, if she really can't, then maybe yes." That's what he said. But that was that yes. If you really can't, but like Rosh Hashanah is absolutely nothing. It's like it's like hitting a piano. It's only not. Turning on a tape recorder. What's the problem? It's not sound. It's electronic. It's like it's saved, but it's not really sound. Someone's not making Abdullah now. That's what he's saying. Kilu. That's the same thing. It's not. That's what Rosh Hashanah sometimes for sure. But again, Moshe time is out. It's a question. Fine. A katan, the doing Rabbi Mishal katan should get a chinuch yachsav incredible bracha. If you hear from a katan who came to chinuch, he's eligible. He's on a level where he understands things, and he's you're supposed to work on educating such a child. Yachsav incredible bracha. You should go back and say without a bracha. The ikar not in this field who katan should give a chinuch moitzes agdol. Also, many people say katan give a chinuch can discharge a person who's over 13, or over 12, of her obligation. Mr. Brewer argues on this. He says that if you have no choice, you can even take a chatan who has to get a chinuch, he can read for you, and you make a bracha. That's what he seems to come out. Hearing from a woman, he says you have to go back also and say without a bracha. That's not so simple. We should think for a second. The Mishnah Berurah says the same thing here as well. It's mamish not simple. It seems to come out the same way. That it's very, very not simple. It says first of all, it could be it's like Kriyas Torah, which is not you're not allowed to be Yotzei. But you're in Gimel. Mogen Rav says it could be like, but some people say they're not motzi. You can't because you can't be motzi of man with Kriyas Torah. Same thing, possibly. It's not Kavod Tzibur. There's a bechira which is called Kavod Tzibur. You're not allowed. You shouldn't be doing it.
But at home, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
It says, but since since you have this bechira which is called Kavod Tzibur, you're not supposed to be reading it. And the Tzibur, so then it's lo. That's the Mishnah says. We don't make any differentiation, and she shouldn't be yotzi even when a man at home. Isn't it also possibly there's a bechina whether she's chayav to read it or only to hear it? He said, but in terms of a man who has what's called a mikra megillah, it's something totally different. He said, but she can be motzi other women. It does work. He brings a Chomer famously the Mishnah Berurah. The Rosh Hashanah says the Chomer is not clear what the pshat is. He brings a Tosfos here that can a woman discharge the obligation of many women? The Mishnah Berurah says no, shouldn't. That's not proper, but Rosh Hashanah says it's not so simple. If I remember right. Actually, yeah, that's the end of this tip. So l'chayra, that's the same problem here. So pashtus, it would seem that one should reread without a bracha, just like he's saying here, as Ben Shchai says. Everyone is supposed to hear the Megillah. Everyone has to read the Megillah. Megillah is the story of the Golos. Megillah is the story of our Golos. Everything is hidden, everything is not clear, and the Melech, we think it's this, we think it's that, and it's only the Melech. That's what it comes down to. Maisa, so Nosson would be very upset. She's very upset when people talking politics. People speaking about, this happened, that happened because of this happened because of the other thing. Nosson didn't like it. He said, where's Hashem in the picture? This happened because that happened because of this. I saw a Russian from the Roman Bulgaria. He writes, the Olim doesn't understand this. The Olim Goyim, the foolish world, doesn't understand this because they're sunk in the 49 gates of politics, so they don't understand anything, like what he's speaking, like big things. People don't understand what's going on. So really, everything is about And that's really what Purim reveals to us. Purim reveals to us that everything is hashkafa, everything is from Hashem. It's not what we think. We have no idea. As when the Siddur Shalom, I think, brings this idea that you have Or Haman and you have Or Haman and Baruch Mordechai. A person can even switch it around. You should be so drunk. So this idea of being drunk says Dvekas, Krishna has Bechinam, Dvekas from Purim, that even when things are hard for him, it seems like he's having a cursed day. The day's hard. Or when he's having a blessed day, he knows it's all from Hashem, and it's all good, it's all the way it's supposed to be, and he's able to accept it, he's able to be chazak, mishtah, be uplifted, no matter what. That's the bottom line, what Megillah is about. And of course it relates to every person, because every person who has understanding, because every person, we all have to know this, we have to know this hashgacha, and that Hashem is taking care of the world, He's running the world. And that's what really Megillah is about, that Hashem is running the world, and that we're on a journey somewhere. We're going somewhere, we're not just static, we're not just staying in one place, we're not just here. We have to move forward. We have to go. The Rebbe said all the beginnings start from Purim today. Purim is the fresh beginning. This fresh beginning is the ultimate fresh beginning. The person makes such a new start, and he starts to recognize, everything's decent. Everything's decent. Really, we all have the miracle of Purim. The Jewish nation, our survival is a miracle of Purim. It doesn't make any sense how we went through all these hardships, all these difficulties. It's just, we can't begin to imagine it. We can't begin to understand it. It's something that's way beyond the intellectual ability to grasp. How do we live through it? How do we manage? How do we keep going? How do we keep going? Hashem always saves us the last minute, the last hour. Suddenly, Haman has everything set up. No, it's going to happen this one, that one, people weapons, this, that. We down and Hashem take care of us. It's not so simple. We think this, we think we don't know anything. We down to Hashem, everything works out. Incredible. Time after time. Again, we think it's another Purim. Another Purim. That's what we're going through. That's our life. That's what we go through. That's what we have to understand. That's why we're here for. That's what we're here for. That's what it's all about. Hashgacha, realize that everything is from Hashem. I have to understand that it all has a message for me. I might not understand the message. It's true. I can try to take something out. But everything the Rebbe says, everything's a hint. Everything's a remez. As the Muslim said, the letter is at the very least, the person who doesn't really know what the hints are, is not at the level yet. He has to believe that everything that happens to him has a remez. It's teaching me something. And I have to say, thank you, Hashem. Thank you so much. Hashem. It's appreciated. He said, well, lesson of humility. And he used to turn to Hashem. He said, you have to turn to Hashem and say, thank you so much for lesson of humility. Thank you so much. But please let me have understanding that I don't need such lessons anymore. I should have humility without such, just a little patch and pun and a little slap of here and there. Get enough without such difficulties. That's really what Purim is all about. That's what Purim is all about. Purim is all about another. We can enter the order. Purim is all about another. That's what the Gemara says. Every person has some bitterness in Purim. Every Purim has got to be some bitterness, some hardship. Because if you put your head down, you take it, and you connect to another, so you can get the incredible order of Purim. If not, it's close to you then.
What's the connection with Purim?
Huh? Because Purim, he said, well, Haman is the guy, first of all.
Amalek.
But bottom line, he says that Purim, there's incredible light. He says there's incredible light, so how in the world are we supposed to protect it from the Rishayim? When every wicked person can access this awesome light? She says, no. Every person on Purim, Mordechai, the lesson of Mordechai, it says, more draws, it's the lesson of bitterness that Mordechai comes out from him. Bitter. There's some bitterness to the Purim. Perhaps because of the freedom, everyone says the Pshat is. But there's a little bit of bitterness. Every person has to endure on Purim. He has to be able to connect to Hashem, nevertheless. He has to have a nova and say, okay, there's bitterness, fine, fighter. Okay, Muslim says a person has to be like, on Purim, we all have to know, everyone knows on Purim, you have to be happy. He said, for Blessed Rachel, every day is like Purim. Every day I know, no, I have to be happy anyway. No matter what, I have to be happy. No matter what, I have to turn to Hashem. No matter what, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. That's what they think when Muslim explains. The person says, Purim, how much more so is thrilled to be happy, rejoice. That's what it comes down to. That's the bottom line. Hashem says, Zocher, or Simcha Purim.